Imagine, if you will, a heart. But I don't mean the cartoon shape, and definitely not a pristine medical diagram. I want you to visualize something visceral.
Mm.
It's wrapped in rusted wire, it's pulsating with this jagged, uneven rhythm, and it is dripping this thick, viscous blue liquid.
Oh, wow.
It's messy, it's uncomfortable to look at, and the source material says it smells like ozone and copper.
That is quite a sensory nightmare to start a deep dive with.
It is, isn't it? But that is the opening visual hook for the book we are dismantling today. It's called Daggermouth by H.M. Wolfe.
Yeah?
And if that biomechanical horror show wasn't enough to pull you in, try this tagline on for size. He is her ruin, she is his rebellion.
It's a tagline that does a lot of heavy lifting. I mean, right away it promises destruction, it promises political upheaval,
Totally.
and it promises that things are going to get very, very complicated for two specific people.
Exactly. And today we are going to unpack the world where that promise plays out. This is a dark dystopian romance, but I want to put a heavy, heavy emphasis on the dark and the dystopian parts. This is not a lighthearted enemies to lovers romp where they, argue over a parking space.
No, absolutely not. We really need to set the stage properly here. H.M. Wolfe has created a world that is fundamentally brutal. I mean, the source material comes with trigger warnings for a reason.
Right.
Violence, systemic abuse, oppression, classism. It's not just background noise in this world. It's the air these characters breathe.
So here is our mission for this deep dive. We are going to map out the complex political structure of Newfound Haven, which, spoiler alert, is neither new nor a haven for anyone.
Hey, not even close.
We're going to psychoanalyze our two protagonists, Greyson and Shadera, because they are both walking, talking bundles of trauma. And finally, we're going to break down the explosive chain of events that leads to one of the most stressful meet-cutes.
Or fight cutes.
Or fight-cutes in recent fiction.
Yeah. I think assassination attempt cute might be the more technical term here.
Okay, we'll go with that. So, to really get this, we need to start with the geography. Newfound Haven. When I was reading the descriptions, it felt incredibly claustrophobic. How is this city actually structured?
Well, it's structured like a target, or maybe more accurately, a cage. It's a stratified city divided into these very distinct concentric rings. At the absolute center, you have the heart.
Which is where the 1% live.
At the 0.1%, really.
Yeah.
And the aesthetic is crucial here because it tells you everything about their values. The text describes it as being prone to artifice.
Artifice. What does that translate to visually?
It's all gleaming marble floors, polished obsidian walls, and what the book calls surgical white light.
It sounds sterile, like you're living inside an operating theater.
That's the point. It's clean, it's expensive, and it's completely devoid of any organic mess. It's a place where, humanity has been polished away.
Okay, so that's the glittering center. What happens when you step out of that ring?
You immediately hit the cardinal.
The middle ring.
Industrial ring. Right. If the heart is the operating room, the cardinal is the furnace that powers it. This is where all the chemical plants are. The source material mentions that the air here is thick enough to taste. It's described as yellow, and it burns your throat just to breathe it in. This is where the working class lives, and frankly, where they die.
There was that detail about the teacher, one of the minor characters who's executed early on, and the book mentions she had permanent chemical burns on her skin just from walking to her job every day.
Exactly. It's a sacrificial zone. The pristine comfort of the heart is paid for directly by the health and lives of the people in the cardinal.
And then finally, there's the outer ring, the boundary.
The slums.
This is where things get really grim.
Yeah, the slums, the wasteland, the place where the system dumps everything and everyone it doesn't want. The sensory details here shift completely. It smells of iron, old sweat, and antifreeze.
It's described as all windowless slum dens.
It's dark, it's crowded, and it's home to the Daggermouths.
Okay, we'll get to the Daggermouths in a minute, but I want to talk about the philosophy holding this target together, because a city doesn't just run on chemical plants, it runs on an ideology.
It runs on the philosophy of one man, President Maximus Searle. He is the architect of this entire nightmare, and he has drilled a very specific mantra into the population.
Mercy is weakness.
Mercy is weakness. Weakness is the end of all things.
That is incredibly bleak. It sounds like something a cartoon villain would say, but in this world, it's treated as absolute gospel.
Because it's a survival mechanism for the state itself. If you start showing mercy, you start acknowledging humanity. If you acknowledge humanity, you stop being an effective cog in the machine.
And Maximus needs cogs, not people.
Precisely. And the ultimate expression of this cogs not people idea is the mask law. This is the part of the world building that really, really stuck with me.
Let's drill down into this, because it's not just, oh, they wear masks to fancy parties. It's structural. It's fundamental to how the society functions.
It is the absolute cornerstone of the regime's psychology.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the basic rule. If you are an elite living in the heart, you must wear a mask at all times when you're outside your private quarters.
Okay, so that's for the rich. What about the lower classes?
For them, it is illegal to look upon the face of an elite. Just seeing their face is a crime. But here is the kicker.
There's more.
It is also illegal for elites to see each other's faces.
Wait, so even at a dinner party or a board meeting or just walking down the street, everyone is masked from everyone else?
Everyone. Unless you are vowed, which is their term for married, you do not see the face of another elite. The penalty for violating any part of this law is immediate execution.
I want to pause here because this feels like a complete inversion of how dictatorships usually work. Usually the leader's face is everywhere. You see statues, posters, it's on the currency. They want you to see them.
That's the cult of personality model, right?
Yeah.
Big Brother is watching you, and you are watching Big Brother. But Maximus Cyril has created a cult of anonymity. And it's actually brilliant in a terrifying way.
How so?
Well, think about the effect of a mask from the bottom up. If a peasant in the cardinal looks at a Wehrregard, that's their militarized police force, they don't see a man. They don't see someone who might be tired or scared or maybe even reluctant.
They see a mask, they see metal, they see the state.
Exactly. It completely removes biological vulnerability. You can't negotiate with a mask. You can't appeal to its eyes. It turns the entire ruling class into this single, impenetrable monolith.
So it effectively dehumanizes them to the poor, making them seem like untouchable gods or machines.
But then you have to flip it around. What does it do to the elites themselves? If I never see your face, I never have to acknowledge your micro-expressions. I don't see your pain, your disgust, your fear when I say something awful.
Right.
It creates a society of enforced dissociation. It almost gamifies sociopathy. It makes cruelty administrative rather than personal.
It essentially protects the elites from their own conscience.
Precisely. And sitting at the very top of this faithless, dissociated pyramid is our first protagonist, Greyson Cyril.
The president's son. And he has a title that I'm sure makes him real popular at parties.
The executioner.
Okay, so let's get into Grayson's head, because on paper, he is the villain. He stands on the platform, he recites the mercy is weakness mantra, and he literally shoots people for a living. But the text gives us a very different view of his internal state.
Greyson is a walking study in depression and repression. He wears this onyx mask. It's described as black, shiny, impenetrable. But inside, he describes himself as cold. And not cold like a ruthless killer, but cold like a corpse. He feels dead already.
He's numbing himself constantly. There are multiple references to him drinking gin like it's water. But the detail that really shouted, "This is a cry for help," to me was the tattoo.
Back piece.
Yeah.
Can you describe that?
He has a tattoo of a human skull that covers his entire back. The text says the only skin showing through is in the gaps between the eyes and the teeth.
That's intense.
It's such a powerful symbol. He has literally branded himself with death. He believes he is already gone. He's just a vessel for his father's will. And it's contrasted so heavily with his dead brother's tattoo, right?
Oh, that's a key detail. His older brother, Brooker, the one everyone loved, he had a tattoo of a heart in the same spot. A heart versus a skull. The book could not be more explicit about their opposing natures.
So he's dead inside. But, and here's where the character gets so complex, a man who is truly dead inside doesn't do what Greyson does at night. Because Greyson Cyril, the executioner, is also a smuggler for the rebellion.
This is the central contradiction that drives the whole story. By day, he kills for the state. By night, he steals from it to save the very people he oppresses.
And he's not just stealing, food or money. The source material gets really specific here.
He's stealing high-grade medical supplies. Things the lower reams could never get. Broad-spectrum antibiotics and, crucially, enzyme suppressants.
And those suppressants are for the chemical burns, the ones people get in the cardinal ring.
Right. He's stealing the cure for the poison his own family's factories create. But I want to focus on the how for a second, because it shows us that Greyson isn't just a sad boy. He's highly competent. He's practically an engineer.
He modifies the patrol cars, right?
He modifies the chassis of the Vera patrol cruisers.
Yeah.
The text has this great scene where he's down in the family garage, lying in oil and grime, strapping these black packages to the undercarriage of a police car.
It can't just be that simple, though.
It's not.
It's
It's
not.
not just duct tape and prayers. He has to calculate the weight. The checkpoints between the rings have weight sensors. If a car is too heavy, it triggers an alarm and the car is searched.
So he has to do math.
He has to calculate the exact weight of the drugs versus the fuel load of that specific car on that specific night to keep the vehicle within the margin of error.
So he is literally doing math with his life on the line. 1 extra box of antibiotics, 1 ounce over the limit, and he's caught and executed by his own father.
It creates this incredible tension. He is the prince of the city, the heir apparent, lying in filth, risking execution to save people he will never meet. It's his penance.
He's trying to balance the scales.
He thinks if he saves enough lives at night, it might balance out the ones he takes during the day.
But does it work? Does he feel balanced?
No, not at all. His friend Callum tells him straight up in one scene, balance does not exist in Newfound Haven. You can't math your way out of this kind of trauma.
Speaking of trauma, let's look at the source of it. His father, President Maximus Sorel. We get a scene of a family dinner that honestly read like a horror movie.
It's the silence that gets you. The text describes the silence at the dinner table as something that dares you to fill it so it can devour you. That is Maximus. He dominates through absolute, terrifying fear.
He's physically abusive to his wife, Alara. We see him strike her. He constantly threatens his children. But there's a ghost at the table, right? The brother, Brooker.
The older brother. The original heir. Brooker was apparently the perfect executioner. He didn't hesitate, he was loyal, he was strong, he was the golden child.
He was killed.
Killed by a Daggermouth rebel years ago, which is the source of so much of the family's rage.
So Greyson is the spare, like the royal saying, the heir and the spare.
He's the retrofit. He's the replacement part that doesn't quite fit the machine, and Maximus hates him for it. He constantly compares him to his dead brother. Brooker would have done it better. Brooker was strong. It's psychological torture.
And then there are the women at the table. Lyra, the sister, and Alara, the mother. They're not just background characters.
Not at all. They are trapped in this pressure cooker, too. Lyra is consumed by anger. She wants revenge for Brooker, but you can tell she also despises her father. She's a powder keg.
And Alara. Alara's fascinating.
She's so complex. She's the clear victim of Maximus's domestic violence, but we learn she's also the intellectual architect of the regime. She's the one who wrote the mask law.
That is a stomach-turning web of complicity. She built the very cage she is now being beaten inside of.
Exactly. It's Shakespearean. The level of internal conflict in that one character is just immense.
So that's the view from the top of the tower. Let's go all the way down to the bottom. Let's talk about Shadera Kale, or Shade.
The assassin.
She is the perfect mirror image of Greyson. If he is the repressed, numbed ice of the heart, she is the burning, vengeful fire of the boundary.
She is the top mercenary for the Daggermouths, and her motivation is singular. It's not just politics for her, it's deeply, deeply personal.
We get her backstory pretty early on, and it's brutal.
She watched Maximus Sorel execute her parents when she was 10 years old.
10! She stood there in a crowd and watched it happen.
And for 20 years, since that day, she has been surviving, training, and waiting for her chance at revenge. She lives in an abandoned warehouse she calls Kale Recycling.
Which is such a heartbreaking detail. It's almost certainly her family's old business.
It is. It's a hollowed-out shell, just like her. But inside, it's not a home. It's a war room. The walls are covered in blueprints of the tower, maps of the city, and photos of the Sorel family, with knives sticking out of them.
So, subtlety is not her strong suit.
No. She has this great line where she thinks to herself, monsters are the only ones that survived. So she has decided to become a monster, to kill the monsters who created her.
But she does have attachments. It's not all just rage. She has Jaeger, the leader of the Daggermouths, who acts as a kind of father figure. And she has Jameson.
Jameson Vine, her lover. And this relationship is intense.
That's putting it mildly. The book describes their physical interactions as rough. It's an aggressive, almost violent kind of intimacy.
It feels like trauma bonding. They are both soldiers in a losing war, clinging to each other. There is a scene before she leaves for the mission where Jameson begs her not to go. He's genuinely terrified. He knows it's a suicide run.
But she goes anyway.
She has to. She tells him this is for her, not for the rebellion. She chooses revenge over love, over safety.
Because she has a contract. A heart-vetted contract to kill Greyson Cyril.
Which is a mystery in itself. Someone on the inside, someone in the heart, wants the heir dead. And Shadera is all too happy to be the weapon they use.
And the weapon she chooses. A stolen Vera pistol.
The poetic justice of it all. She wants to kill the executioner with his own gun on his own turf.
So the board is set, the pieces are moving, but before Shadera can even get to him, Greyson has a very, very bad day at work. Let's talk about the inciting incident, the plaza execution.
This is the moment the machine glitches. The system breaks. Greyson is on the platform. He has 2 prisoners, a man from the Boundary and a teacher from the Cardinal.
And they're crying.
Loving each other across faction lines.
Which is illegal. The book says love outside your ring is a death sentence.
It disrupts the social order.
Yeah.
So Greyson does his job. He shoots the man first. The man is defiant to the end. But then Greyson turns to the woman. And she breaks. She screams. She begs for mercy.
And that word mercy, it triggers something in him. The word his father has branded as the ultimate weakness.
It cracks the conditioning. Greyson hesitates. He completely freezes. The gun is in his hand, pointed at her, but he can't pull the trigger.
And in a totalitarian regime like this, a pause, a moment of hesitation, is as loud as a gunshot.
It's louder. It's a public signal of weakness. The crowd sees it. And more importantly, Maximus sees it from his balcony. A Vera captain has to step in and take the shot for him.
It's a total, utter humiliation on the biggest possible stage.
And the fallout is immediate. Maximus doesn't just beat him for this failure. He decides to shackle him permanently. He arranges a vow.
A marriage.
To a woman named Moraine Daunt. She's described as a cold, loyal elite from another powerful family. Maximus wants to force Greyson into a political union that will prove his loyalty and lock him down forever. It's a cage.
So Greyson is spiraling. He's humiliated in front of the entire city. He's trapped in an engagement he hates, and he's just waiting for the ceremony to begin. And this is when Shadera makes her move.
The infiltration.
I loved this whole sequence, especially the part in the elevator shaft. It was so visceral.
It was terrifying. She's climbing the maintenance ladder inside the main tower's elevator shaft. And the text describes the sensory overload, the mechanical whine of the cables, the sudden change in air pressure. And then the elevator car itself comes rushing down at her.
She has to squeeze into this tiny utility cavity in the wall to avoid being crushed into paste.
And the incredible irony is, Greyson is inside that elevator car. He's riding up to his doom, miserable about this wedding, while his assassin is clinging to a wall just inches away from him, trying not to die.
There are ships passing in the night, except one ship is carrying a silenced pistol and the other is carrying a broken heart.
They actually almost meet in the garage too, right? Before the elevator.
Yes. That was another great moment of tension. Shadera is sneaking through the underground garage and sees someone working under a Vera patrol car. It's Greyson, planting his contraband medical supplies.
And she thinks about taking him out right there.
She does. She considers it, but decides to stick to the original plan, to get him at the ceremony. She wants it to be a statement.
It's a great sliding doors moment. If
Yeah.
she'd attacked him there in the grease in the dark, the whole story would be different.
But she doesn't. She climbs to the top, to the private chapel in Haven Tower. Greyson is there, pacing, waiting for the wedding rehearsal to start.
And Shadera drops from the HVAC vent like a spider.
Let's break down this fight scene, because it is not your standard action movie brawl. The choreography tells a story about who these two people are.
It absolutely does. Shadera lands, and she assumes she has the advantage. She sees a rich boy in a fancy suit. She thinks he's soft, a political figurehead.
Even though Yeager warned her, he said, do not underestimate him.
But she does. She lunges at him with a knife. And Greyson, who has been brutally trained by the Vera since he could walk, he doesn't panic. He catches her wrist.
That moment must have been a profound shock for her.
It shatters her entire worldview in a tenth of a second. She realizes instantly that he is not just a symbol. He is strong, and he's fast. He twists her arm, disarms the knife in a single fluid motion.
But Shadera is a street fighter. She's not a formal duelist. She headbutts him.
Which is the great equalizer, right? You can have all the fancy martial arts training in the world, but a forehead to the bridge of the nose changes the math of a fight real fast.
And then the knives come out, becomes this brutal, intimate duel. The text describes it as a dance, steel kissed steel.
And I think the language there is important. It emphasizes that they are equals. This is crucial for the dark romance element later. They are physical matches. He has reach and power. She has speed and ferocity.
And it gets bloody. This isn't a clean, choreographed fight. He stabs her in the side. She slices his leg open. He cracks her collarbone with a blow. They are literally tearing each other apart.
It's savage. But eventually, Shadera gets the upper hand. She manages to scramble back, pulls the stolen Vera pistol, and aims it at his head.
So this is it. The moment she's waited 20 years for. Greyson is on his knees. He's bleeding, she's been beaten, and Shadera says that one line, "Beg! Beg like they begged you!"
She wants him to feel the fear that he inflicted on her parents, on everyone else.
Mm.
She wants the monster to cower before he dies.
And here is where the story pivots. This is the moment that changes absolutely everything. Greyson looks up at her. And what does he say?
He says, do it.
Just do it.
I remember reading that for the first time and thinking, wait, is he taunting her? Is this some kind of reverse psychology?
That was my first thought, too. Like, you don't have the guts. It feels like a classic hero villain moment.
But when you look closer at the text, at his internal monologue leading up to this, it's not a taunt, it's a genuine plea. He wants to die.
He sees the gun in her hand as an exit strategy from his life.
Exactly. He's trapped by his father, he's trapped by his guilt, he's trapped by this impending marriage to Moraine. Death is the only freedom he can imagine.
And to prove he's serious, to prove he's not bluffing, he does the one thing that is completely unthinkable in this society. He reaches up with his bloody hands, and he takes off his mask.
We have to stress the sheer magnitude of this action. In this society, voluntarily removing your mask in front of a stranger, especially an enemy from the boundary, is a capital offense. It is a secret violation.
He is essentially committing suicide by law. If Shadera doesn't kill him, the state will have to. He is forcing the issue, taking control of his own death.
And Shadera just freezes because suddenly the monster, the executioner, the symbol of her pain, has a face. And the book says she sees his blue eyes, she sees the scars on his cheek, she sees a human being who is looking at her with total exhausted resignation.
It completely breaks her programming. It's easy to kill a mask. It's much harder to kill a man who is asking you to do it.
And in that split second of hesitation history repeating itself, just like Greyson hesitated, the doors to the chapel burst open.
The cavalry arrives. The Vera, the Cyrils, and the Darnts, his fiancée's family. They all walk in on this bloody tableau, the unmasked heir bleeding on the floor and the assassin holding a gun on him.
It's absolute chaos. Shadera is tackled, disarmed, and beaten. Greyson is bleeding out, and Clay Daunt, the father of the bride-to-be, Moraine, starts screaming for justice.
But not for Shadera to be executed. He demands that Greyson be executed.
Because the law is the law. It's clear. He removed his mask, he broke the sacred law, he must die.
But Maximus Cyril is a tyrant. He doesn't care about the law, he cares about power and lineage. He shuts Clay Daunt down immediately. He threatens to wipe out the entire Daunt bloodline if they ever mention executing his son again.
It shows you right there that for Maximus, laws are for other people. But he still has a problem. The elite witnessed this. The mask is off. He can't just ignore it without looking weak.
And this is where Alara, the mother, steps in.
This is her moment. She steps forward from the corner of the room. She's terrified of Maximus, we know that, but she's also the smartest person in the room.
She offers a solution, a loophole.
A loophole she wrote into the mask law herself years ago. She's the architect, she knows its weaknesses. It states that if a mask falls by accident during a struggle,
A convenient accident.
a very convenient accident, the parties involved have two choices: immediate execution for both, or they must take the vow.
They must get married.
Because seeing the face is considered the ultimate act of intimacy in their culture. If you see the face, you are either dead or you are bonded for life. There's no in-between.
It's bizarre legal fiction, but it's the only way out. Alara lies and says it must have fallen off in the fight.
Everyone in that room knows it's a lie. Greyson took it off himself. But it gives Maximus a path, a way to save his heir and his reputation.
And Maximus, being the political operator that he is, realizes in that moment that he can weaponize this. He looks at Shadera, this beaten Daggermouth rebel who just tried to murder his son, and he sees a pawn.
He decides to force the marriage, not to Moraine Daunt, but to Shadera.
He's going to make his son marry his own assassin.
He'll call it a political union. He spins it instantly. He will marry the Prince of the Heart to the rebel of the boundary. He'll claim it's an act of unity, of strength, the heart taming the untamable.
It's brilliant, twisted propaganda. He uses Shadera as a political hostage to pacify the lower rings. Look, one of your own is now one of us. Resistance is futile.
So we arrive at the end of the source material we're covering today, and the board has been completely and violently reset.
Greyson is in the hospital. He survived the gunshot, much to his own disappointment.
And there's a key detail there. The doctor, a man named Dr. Knowles, when he's operating on Greyson, he leans in and whispers something to him. He recognized the serial numbers on the high-grade medical supplies Greyson had been smuggling for the rebellion.
He knows. He knows Greyson is the anonymous benefactor saving lives in the Cardinal.
It's a tiny, tiny glimmer of hope. Greyson now has a potential ally on the inside, someone who knows his secret.
Meanwhile, Shadera is in prison. Cell 9758.
And it's grim. The description is just stagnant water, filth. She's been beaten, she has broken ribs, but she meets the other prisoners in her cell block.
This was a really moving scene. She expects to find monsters, killers like herself. Instead, she finds a teenage boy who shares his meager piece of bread with her. She finds a community that cares for each other despite the horror.
It reinforces her resolve. It reminds her who she's fighting for. She failed to kill Greyson, but she hasn't given up the fight.
But now the stakes are infinitely higher and infinitely more complicated. She isn't just an assassin anymore. She is the future bride of the executioner.
They are bound together by law, by violence, and by this secret they share. They are enemies who have seen each other's true faces.
So let's speculate a bit as we wrap up. Let's really dig into the things here. What does this forced marriage actually mean for the story going forward?
I mean, it's a powder keg. You have two people who despise the system they're in, but who also despise each other, or at least they think they do.
Greyson is the executioner. In her mind, he's the man who represents the system that killed her family.
But then you have the theme of complicity, which is so strong in this book. Greyson executes people, but he also smuggles life-saving drugs. Is he a good man doing bad things, or a bad man doing good things? Shadera now has to wrestle with that.
She can't just see him as a symbol anymore. She saw him unmask. She saw him try to commit suicide. She knows he's not the simple monster she built up in her head for 20 years.
What about Greyson? He sees Shadera as boundary trash who tried to kill him, but he also has to respect her fighting skill. The text makes it clear he was impressed by her. He knows she has the fire and strength that he lacks.
The source material has that one line near the end that feels like a thesis statement. Love has brought down empires.
Right now, all they have is hate. But what if that hate, forced into such close proximity, starts to curdle into a grudging understanding, if they realize they have the same primary enemy, Maximus?
Then Maximus has made a fatal, fatal error. He thinks he's locked two enemies in a room to control them.
He might have actually locked the two halves of a revolution together. The insider with access and the outsider with the will to fight.
And what about the other players? What about Jameson, the lover she left behind in the warehouse?
That is the ultimate wild card. He's going to see the public announcement. The executioner to marry the Daggermouth assassin. What is he going to think?
He's either going to think she's a traitor who sold out or that she's a prisoner.
And if he thinks she's a prisoner, he might try to launch a rescue mission.
A rescue mission into the heart, into the president's tower. That's suicide.
But as Shadera herself said, everything is a suicide run in this city. He might be willing to burn the whole city down just to get to her.
And the wedding itself. Can you just imagine that ceremony?
The tension will be absolutely off the charts. The whole city watching on screens, the masks, the vows. I promise to love, honor, and, not stab you in your sleep.
It's going to be a disaster, and I absolutely cannot wait to see how it plays out.
It's the ultimate political theater. Every single person in attendance will be wondering if the bride is going to try and kill the groom at the altar.
So, as a final thought for you to mull over, we've talked about how this forced marriage is a political tool for Maximus. But it's also a trap for both Greyson and Shadera. They are two survivors of profound trauma, just surviving in different ways. He numbs himself with gin and secrets. She sharpens her pain into a weapon. Now they're forced together. Will their shared trauma and their mutual hatred of Maximus be enough to forge an alliance? Or will they just destroy each other first, doing Maximus's job for him?
It really could go either way, and that's what makes it such a compelling setup. The potential for a powerful alliance is just as strong as the potential for a catastrophic implosion.
Well, thank you so much for breaking this down with me. This was a deep one.
Always a pleasure to explore the darkness with you.
And to you, the listener, whether you are listening from the sterile safety of the heart or the gritty reality of the boundary, keep your eyes open and maybe, just maybe, question who is behind the mask. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.